pull that a little bit closer there. Give me my drink. Alright, well, welcome. Yes, all right, we're here at the Geekgasm. We're a little bit off frame and off kilter because of our magic cameraman. And, but we're here in the attic, which used to be 3345. And as you'll notice, we have another person in the chair, the couch, the audience here with us today. And, you know, we're happy to have him. This is Merv, who, I won't say you're known as the film quiz guy at the fact, but you've been doing the film quiz at the fact.
Yes, yeah. Although I'm not known as the film quiz guy at the fact, I am the film quiz guy at the fact.
I am the film quiz
I am the film quiz guy at the fact. And don't let this be full. Movember, people, come on.
Well, no, exactly. It is that Movember time, you know, but I'm Movember every year or every month. Anyway, so, Merv, you know, came up to me and, like, you know, he just said, oh, I am an Uber geek. And I said, dude, you need to join me on the couch here at the Geekgasm because that's what it's all about. We talk about films, and we don't, you know, we don't review new films or films that are out because, you know, you got all those other guys out there doing that, and you know, we're the other guys that are just kind of like talking about film because we love film.
Exactly.
You know, and
absolutely.
You know, in our love of film, you know, we hit either genres or periods. You know, we've done like the 70s, the 80s, we've done westerns, but we also do types as well. We do like TV shows, comic books. So, you know, I was kind of like talking with Merv, and then I was like realizing, dude, let's stop talking. Save it for the camera, you know what I mean? You know, so it's like what we want to be able to do is we want to kind of like, we said that we'll talk a bit about the classics, you know, film noir, but we also started getting into that whole serious geek debates about remakes. Why should they, you know, why should they savage the sacred Canaan, you know, and
that's very poetic, by the way.
Thank you very much. You know, I did went to school.
Wow.
You know, but yeah. So I mean, so let's just start there a little bit before we get into film noir.
Definitely.
You know, because we were talking about remakes, and sometimes, you know, you don't know it's a remake. You know, when you gave me kind of like 3 on the way over here, I was like, no, that's, oh, the remake was bad. He said, no, I mean the original. Like we were talking about The Thing, for example. And you said John Carpenter's The Thing. And all I heard was Thing 2011. And I was like, no, that was horrible. And, but no, John Carpenter. We love John Carpenter. And amazing film. But it was a remake. Or was it?
Well, that's the debate, folks. Technically, well, the fact that it's a story that's been covered before, in that sense, yes, it's a remake, but it's actually a truer depiction of the original short story, Who Goes There? What was technically available in, what, 1951, just simply couldn't be done, so they got
they couldn't do the whole assimilation.
But as the tape that they did, that Howard Hawks did, back in 51, it's still a giant of its type.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a
and that doesn't mean because James Arnaz was a giant carrot that was about 8 feet tall.
Indeed, yes, with those freaky nails.
Well, yeah,
you know, bit of manicure going on there. Yeah?
You would think that John Carpenter paid a homage to it with one of his guys that was being assimilated, had the long nails and doing all that kind of stuff.
That's not a bad idea.
But
maybe for a fourth take on the film, who knows?
But I mean, so remake, should they or should they not, Merv? I mean, what do you think?
Not really. I mean, every story can be told many times. Just because with film, it's there and we got it there completely for posterity. If I tell the same story twice to you, then I can change that story. You know, Cinderella did this one day, Cinderella did that another day. That's fine. That's fine. But the thing with film is that it's set in certain areas. It can be set in stone in people's minds.
Yeah.
Okay?
Especially people like us of a certain men of a certain age, where we grow up with something and it still sticks with us today.
Indeed.
You know, and like, you know, the idea of that being remade is sacrilegious. You know, I mean, for example, you know, we were mentioning The Warriors.
Yes, The Warriors.
Now,
which
imagine a remake of that.
Yeah.
What would you do, really?
Well, let's say it's been in pre-production, only at the script stage for a fair few years now. I know the late great Tony Scott was involved at one point, and yeah, Tony.
Yeah, gotta give.
Still miss you guys. Still miss you, buddy. But exactly, what would you do? What would you know? When would you set it? What would you try and make it a more realistic depiction, or not? Part of the charm of the original is the fact that I don't know where that's set. Yeah, okay, it's set in New York. They go to Coney Island and everything, but that's not the real world. But that doesn't matter. It's a fairy tale.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, when you say about that, like, what we used to do, like, I actually saw the new Total Recall. Have you seen the Total Recall?
I actually skillfully avoided it.
Actually, it was a pretty good film.
Yeah.
Now, it was because what they did was they did their own take on the original story, as you just said, on the original Philip K. Dick story. And if you remember the 80s, the reason why people remember Total Recall because they remember the actor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And it was tooled for him. So it had all of those choppy, you know, one-liners, and it was like all based around his massiveness and everything. So when Colin Farrell was announced, everybody was up in arms. Why would you?
What? Yeah.
He's not Arnie. He's not even buff. What is that all about? Yeah. But it brought it back to what the original story was. It brought it back to about the guy who had the choice.
He's an average Joe, yeah.
But he was also like a triple threat, or a triple agent, you know? Yeah. So it's that kind of thing. Is he not evil? You know, or can he change? And so when you look at the themes of it, it was all there. Now going back to the Warriors, it's kind of like, I wouldn't want to see another type of orphans game. Or the guys, the roller boogie guys in the train station.
Although I would be interested to see the Lizzies.
Baseball Furies.
It'd be interesting to see the Lizzies again. I want to know what the Lizzies are doing now, frankly.
The Lizzies are probably doing more than like tongue kissing, which was like, you know, at that time the most, you know, the deeper thing. You know, hey, who doesn't remember that show? But I mean, but what I'm just trying to say is that it's sacrilegious in my opinion, for remakes, because you're desecrating the original in a way. You know, unless you're paying a homage to the original, which Total Recall did do, paid a lot of homages in on different points, like Three-Breasted Woman. She's back.
Okay.
She's back.
Triple jingles, folks. Triple jingles.
Triple jingles. But I mean, you know, so in that fashion, you know, I just think that some things should remain in its original form. I like to kind of like go to the original videotape, DVD, cassette, MP4, and watch the original film. You know, I mean, when they come out with a remake, I go like this, and I have to watch it sometimes just to go. Yeah. Whoa.
Well, yeah. I don't want to be one of these people who say, "Oh no, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother. I won't." Part of me says, "Come on, go and see it. Go and see it." Sometimes I don't. Total Recall, I just didn't bother in the end. Yeah. What's interesting actually about Total Recall is it makes it all the more frustrating is the fact that I've read the David Cronenberg script that he did in about 1985 for Dino De Laurentiis that never got made. And one of the reasons why it didn't get made is the late great Dino De Laurentiis, the wonder producer, claimed that it was too incoherent, and essentially he had written a Philip K. Dick script, and Cronenberg said, "Yeah, I know. That's what I want to make." And, you know,
well, I mean, you know,
that's a movie that's yet to be, that should be made.
But that also kind of like moves us into, you know, like directors, and you know, some people have fame for some strange reason, you know, where we, you know, and some of it is lost. You know, like we were talking about Tim Burton, you just mentioned Cronenberg. I mean, you know, classically these guys were phenomenal, but then as they go on, their work starts to deteriorate. And, you know, that kind of like moves us into the octogenarian period of the filmmakers that are around now, like our man Ridley Scott, with Prometheus.
Well,
or, you know, Walter Hill.
With Prometheus, because we're drifting ever slightly in the remake era, mainly to do with imagery as opposed to the actual film itself, with the use of, you know, certain spaceships, etc., certain designers.
It's not a remake, it's a prequel.
It's a well, he's actually stated it's not a prequel. The third film that he will make will be the direct prequel. So it's like, what? Because he knows that there's so many answers yet to be unanswered.
That was to save himself from all the negative rhetoric he got on Twitter.
There is that, yeah.
I mean, you know, even though obviously from the end that Prometheus was a part one, it just, you know, will part two save his reputation? We will have to see.
Well,
but I will tell you, it had one of the worst scenes ever.
And which was?
One of the worst logical scenes ever.
They gotta be. So for a moment, I thought you were going to talk about the scene where the girls are running from the ship that's rolling. Why would you run in a straight line, people? Why would you run in a straight line? It's directly behind you. Here's a little tip: go left, go right, go left, go right.
Serpentine. You know,
don't just think, oh, wait a minute.
Please. Well, there was a lot of crap. I mean, such as the head, orders talking to her from like miles away, saying, "Hello, can you come get me? I do want to make it in time for the sequel." But you know, I just had a cesarean, and I'm not running from a falling ship. But yeah, I'll come get you.
One question was, why did they cast Guy Pearce as Mr. Burns?
Well, because Guy Pearce needs to work. just seriously, he needs to work, man. You know,
but getting back to the whole remake business, I mean, as a genre, well, it's not even. It's now its own genre. There are so many that are being just completely thrown out these days. But it's like you can get a good cover version of a song when somebody brings something to it, and you think, oh right, yeah, oh that's a great version.
New take on an old idea.
But they don't even bother with that so much now. It's just literally, you know, you watch some trashy 80s slasher movie, so we'll just do it again. Literally, just do it again, and we'll tone it down this time because we've got to get that rating lower because we need more people to come and see it.
Well, see, that's where they need writers, and you know, as a writer, I would agree. It's like if you wanted to redo the Warriors and capture the magic of the Warriors, what you do is you do the Warriors 1990. Not even Warriors 2011, because you know, gangs in the city, you know, even though they're still there, they're running around with machine guns.
Exactly.
But what I meant was, is like, you know, go from that story to the next day. You know, I mean, Porky's did it. Porky's the next day.
Oh, well, yes.
You know,
as we all remember.
Don't bother trying to remake the movie. Go to the next day, the next year, sometime later. The Legend of the Warriors. Like, it was like what the Gramercy Riffs was like, hey, you know, you guys, you know, are legendary. They didn't want to admit it, but they were like, you kicked everybody's butt in this town. You know, that would be a legend. So what will be the new Warriors of today? And I don't mean 2011, but I just mean sometime after the event. I would love to see that movie. That's the movie I would love to see. You know, it's like, you know, like whether the guys are still around, whether they're dead, whether how does the new band handle the legend?
One of the things that we never saw in the movie.
Would be awesome.
No, we never saw in the original Warriors was we only got a taste of it. Was the fact that they were just the delegates. There is a whole.
There you go. There's a whole army of warriors. They were only the
you
9.
Know, you had like Ajax and Swan. There's nine delegates to go along.
That's
9 soldiers. And when you got like the Gramercy Riffs, who are like 1,000 strong,
because all of their men came out. Yeah.
Okay. I want to see the rest. I want to know what's happening there. I want to know because if Swan is going to be the guy who's, you know, or whatever.
Well, he was like the lieutenant, so he was the next one to be in line.
You know, how does he handle that? He handles it well, but you know, and what did happen to the other guy? You know, do we? I want to know.
What other guy? You mean Ajax? That guy went to jail and stuff. Well, yeah. Well, see, Warriors too. Ajax comes out of jail.
Indeed.
How come you guys left me?
Indeed. Plus, James Remar, I think he's one of the great unsung American character actors of the last 30 years. He should have been James. I'm sorry, pal, but you should have been a bigger star. You really should have.
Yeah. No, I agree. So anyway, I mean, you know, remakes and all of that. You know, we've talked about that. Now let's like look at like films. Yeah. So I mean, when we'll talk about classics.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, like you know, to me, classics are black and white, film noir. You know, that kind of period and stuff. Do you have a favorite that sticks out in your mind, maybe, or a top 3?
Kiss Me Deadly has always been a favorite of mine because it has one of the most sadistic characters. Just Richard Widmar's psychotic sort of.
That's the one where he pushes his mom down
the stairs. That's the one. I used to watch that. I've seen that movie about 4 or 5 times as a kid with my mother. With my mother, and my mother always had this thing of like she always used to talk about ruthless people. Oh, he's ruthless. He's really ruthless. And she used to hate villains who are ruthless, but she used to love heroes who are ruthless. So she was always like. So obviously Connery's Bond was always like, oh, he's ruthless. Or she was in love with Richard Roundtree, the shark, because once again that word again. Oh, he was ruthless. He was ruthless. He's ruthless. Which here's the freaky thing, folks. Richard Roundtree, by the way, absolute spitting image of my father. Quite scary.
I thought you were going to say the spitting image of you there, man.
Not quite. No, I'm as you can see, especially with my Movember, I'm Ving Rhames' ill brother.
Oh wait a minute.
Ill younger brother.
Geekgasm. I love Ving Rhames. I got man love for Ving Rhames. You know, I mean, did you ever see People Under the Stairs?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean like that to me that was kind of considered one of like the first real like black horror films. Even though they came out with a lot of crappy sideline horror films that had black people in it, that had like
One have a word against Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Black.
Like I said. But what's that kid's name who plays Fool?
Brandon. Him, yeah.
Yeah, Brandon.
Little Mini Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, because he was like in a lot of films in,
he was
in
the
80s, and so like you know, it was really great seeing him as a hero. You know, it was really good because now speaking of that, because I mean we digress, we always go in tangents. Speaking of that, you know, black men in horror films.
Well, it all comes
Let's
back
talk
to
about it.
It all comes back to Dwayne Jones. It all comes back to Dwayne Jones in Night of the Living Dead.
First of all, excellent. That's our first black hero in horror films.
Indeed, indeed, and you know, intelligent. First and foremost, intelligently written. Okay, and people always say.
I don't know about that. I mean, George was kind of like on drugs, but go ahead.
But also in the sense that. People say, oh, but it didn't really matter that he played him almost like a white guy, and he was exactly. If you're a black person watching that film, you know not only
not play like a white guy.
Exactly, and the ending alone just says it all. Okay, and if you've not seen the movie before,
I think we've all seen the movie before. It was kind of like that's another wood for the fire. Is what they said, which was kind of like the way society was treating people in that aspect. And so we're supposed to, or the white audience is supposed to feel bad for the black man plight because this is the 60s. It was like Civil War,
Civil rights. It was virtually Civil War.
Civil rights going on. And like, you know, they were kind of like saying, hey look, you know, not all black people are bad, you know. I mean, like this guy, you know, he sacrificed himself, you know, he was heroic, he was in charge, and you know, so, and look what they did to him.
He's the only potential survivor as well. The only potential survivor of that house. And look what they're going to do. And look what they're going to do.
That is true. That is true.
But getting back to what you're saying about black people in horror
films. Well, what I was trying to say about black men in horror films.
Black
men in horror films, to me, it always seems that they have the same quality. Right? So, Geek Challenge. What is this similar quality that runs through all the black men in horror films, do you think?
Well, apart from, you know, if we're talking Paul Winfield here.
No, I'm talking about, no, I'm not talking about Paul Winfield in Star Trek 2. I'm talking, or Sounder. I'm talking about...
Damnation Alley, that's the one. He gets eaten by bugs in that one.
All right.
But, okay.
What's the running theme?
Well, we die.
Well, that's Star Trek. That's a running theme in Star Trek.
We die. Black men, they can't survive in a horror movie.
What else can't they do in horror movies?
They can't be heroic. We usually are.
Oh no,
it's a zombie movie.
There's either the flip flop. There's either the heroic, which is Dwayne Johnson, or there's chicken, like that black guy in Night of the Demons. Remember him? I called him Rabbit. I think he was called Rabbit, but he kept running every time we saw the demon.
But that's an interesting point actually, because going way back, and we're now slipping back into noir era. But when the Bob Hope horror comedy, The Cat and the Canary, he had a black sidekick in that, and it's like it's a classic.
Yeah, but you're talking about the Rothschild era.
Yeah.
You know, or excuse me, the Rochester era. Hey boss. You know what I mean? You're talking about that era. I'm not talking about that. I'll give it to you there, Merv. The similar quality in most black men in horror films is that they are neutered.
Oh, well, we can't be sexual. That'd be silly.
Well, now he gets it. Now he gets it. I mean, but yeah, I mean, do you remember one of our great black horror actors? There's really mainly two. And let's see if you agree. Ken Foree.
Oh, Ken Foree, yeah.
And Tony Todd.
Well, I've had the pleasure of spending time with both gentlemen, but particularly with Ken Foree, who I'd like to point out is truly insane. If you ever go to film fairs or movie conventions or anything like that, and Ken's on, if he's there, please go and pay your respects and homage. But be prepared. The man lives on planet Ken.
He does look like that.
Okay. He's about 8'3", and
if you don't know who Ken Foree is, go watch Dawn of the Dead, the original. All right, he was the black hero in that one.
Black hero in that, yeah.
But Ken Foree, reason why I came up with this neutered black man concept is because like Ken Foree in From Beyond.
Oh yeah,
From Beyond.
Yeah. Stuart
I don't remember Stuart Gordon, but I don't remember the woman's name. Some hot blonde chick, but. There's these parasites that come from another dimension and they possess women and they make them uber sexual. And so Ken Foree trying to be the hero and trying to save things, and all of a sudden she gets possessed by the parasite and she's all on him and he's standing there rigid. You don't want none of this. You remember the scene?
Indeed.
You don't want none of this. And it's like, hell yeah, you do, Ken. She can't help herself. She's possessed by a parasite. But I've seen that. From that point, I've seen that because I was young when I saw it. But I've just seen that black men aren't getting with the women. They're not, even though they're demonstrating some heroicness or some chickenness or whatever, you're never seeing the black guy go. You might see the black guy show up with a girl. Hey, yeah, that's my girl. He get killed real fast before he getting anything. So it's kind of like, whoa, that's weird. Because the reason why I say that is, in the 80s, you had that contrast where you have the rise of Wesley Snipes. And you had these like really powerful sexual scenes with Spike Lee's
She's Gotta Have It.
No, I said Wesley Snipes. So we're talking about Mo Better Blues and Jungle Fever. Yeah. And it's kind of like, Wesley is in the bed like wild African, his black Nubian skin, and then these sex scenes were over the top. You know what I mean? Where you're like, I'll get a white woman, I'll just So it was just, really kind of like, whoa. Then you go to a horror film and you're saying, hey man, I don't need no woman. I don't need none of that. I will go and check out. I will be the leader and I will be above it all and everything. And we've got that all the time, in films.
Well, first and foremost, we cannot be shown in certain areas about how sexual, not just black men, but black women is in general. Before we even get on to the fact that let's talk about black women in horror movies.
Black women in horror movies. Wait, let the tumbleweed roll.
Indeed. But anyway, that's a whole 2-hour special, guys.
Are there any black women?
I've met in horror movies. Abby in
the 70s, man, the Black Exorcist.
Oh, the Black. Oh God, yes. He did outgeek me. He got me with that, but I'll give him that. But don't worry, I've been keeping. I got okay.
So yeah, if you don't mean your blaxploitation, which had your black women in it, and everything like that, in mainstream horror, there usually would be kind of like the funky friend. Always on her Twitter or her phone.
Well, for case in point, and then we'll bring this not up to date, but this century, Freddy versus Jason.
I was just thinking about
you got Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child.
I was just going to say Kelly Rowland.
Not only is she in the movie, but they have to mention that she's black. That comes into play. When Freddy says the clap, oh, dark meat. And you think, so not only, it's bad enough that the guy's a child killer, but they have to now make him a racist child killer, because that really makes him bad. Oh, dark meat. And you're like, what? Gothica. That's more supernatural than horror with Halle Berry.
Because it's always about killing the young teenagers, there's always going to be the background black girl. Yeah. And everything like that. But as far as in the foreground, Kelly Rowland kind of came more to the foreground in that, because it took a while to kill her off, didn't it?
Yeah, I personally would have had
a little bit too long.
10 minutes into it. I had Jason and Freddy kind of just team up for that one, but there we go.
Yeah, let's both take her out. So, we had to talk about it. We had to talk about black people in horror or something like that. Indeed. But so going back to, you only named one of your...
Oh, sorry, yeah, we'll get back to... I mentioned the...
I have to stay on point. You said Kiss Me Deadly.
Kiss Me Deadly, Strangers on a Train, which is my favorite Hitchcock movie. Absolute favorite Hitchcock movie, and potentially... I don't have a favorite bad guy, but if there was ever a contender, Edmund Thingy, he played the bad guy in that, is one of my favorite pure psychopaths of all time.
Is it because he popped the kid's balloon?
Because he popped the kid's balloon just after he
It was such a setup, though.
In silhouette as well, fantastic.
That was awesome. I used that shot in one of my films. I mean, that was awesome. I mean,
and
if
it's
you
so
want to
matter
talk
of
about
fact
an
as
iconic
well.
shot.
It's so matter of
well,
fact.
yeah, but it's also one of those things where you go, oh my God, what's in this guy's head that he's thinking about this particular angle? And you know, I mean, yeah, it really.
And to top them all off, and I will throw this one in there, and it has been remade. And to be fair, it's not a bad remake as well. And but we're sticking with the original film, and that would be Cat People. There's a sequence in
the original Cat People.
The original Cat People.
See, for me, the original Cat People is Natasha Kinski, but go ahead.
The original, there's a sequence in Central Park where.
Are we talking about Natasha Kinski?
No. We're talking about the original. There's a sequence in Central Park where the girls wait for a bus, and you will never see a scarier moment waiting for a bus.
It's called Curse of the Cat People.
The Curse of the Cat People. There was a second one.
Oh, okay. It had a sequel.
It had a sequel to it, but Cat People basically.
I may have to look for that. So it was really chilling, was it?
Oh yeah. It may be called Curse of Cat People in other areas, in other territories, other countries.
Yeah. See, we always have that problem sometimes, where like American imports. No, I actually don't remember.
In fact, I remember the first time I saw in widescreen, in full letterbox widescreen. For all those who are watching this in the US, the Chinese Connection. For all those watching in the UK, Fist of Fury, not to be confused with Fist of Fury, which in turn is the Big Boss. It's messing with my head.
Exactly. But what I was gonna say was, when you mentioned the Cat People, it brought into my mind The Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
With Kirk Douglas.
Oh yeah.
Where they were like filmmakers, and for me, it's one of the greatest films about film because it's about like the.
He's a dirtbag. He's absolute dirtbag in that. You know.
He is, but you have to be sometimes.
Silly grandmother.
I mean, I like to dabble into producing and directing, and you have to. Do that, like his way of cooling down after a film and all that. But, it reminded me, when you mentioned Cat People, it reminded me of the film that they were making, where they were making the Cat People horror thing. And they were saying, look, we got no money, we got no budget, we got cat suits, the zippers don't work and everything. And then they decided, they just let their brainstorm happen. And they decided, look, one light, like the table lamp. And then you hear the noises, and the hand comes out, and it cut to a little child scream, and it cuts to a little girl screaming. And I thought, wow, that was just like fantastic, because it's hard to capture that on film, is that creative organic process. Exactly. And I thought that was really brilliant, the way I did all of that. But so that was my thing about Cat People and that. But it also is a black and white, classic. I mean, for me, my three, number one has to be It's a Wonderful Life. Now, It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, it's one of those movies that people ignore every year.
Well, my wife had never seen it till about 10 years ago, and she'd been put off through a lifetime of hearing people say, it's always on TV, and blah, 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 and whatnot. And for many years, I said to her, no, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. You need to sit through it. It is not this sentimental piece of tosh or whatever.
It's a brilliant life study. And it's about how we as people generally feel in our lack of importance sometimes, that we're only one of millions, and that whatever we do doesn't affect anyone else. But in our daily doldrums, just, hey, yeah, all right, man, I give you $1, and then that dollar will take you and get you some food, and then do this, and then, so Jimmy Stewart is this guy who's blindly looking ahead and never looking around. And in that fashion is that he doesn't realize how important he is to the people around him, because he's so focused ahead. And he thinks, that's what I have to do. I have to get ahead. I have to get out of town. I have to do this. And then when everybody comes to give to him unselfishly, blows his mind and mine. I cry every time I watch this film. You know what I mean? And it's one of those films like The Magnificent Seven that you just gotta watch. If it's on, you gotta just sit down and watch it to the end. So for me, if we talk about classics, that's a classic.
I can never get. I mean, technically that's a remake as well, and a great one.
No, it's not.
Well,
1947.
Magnificent Seven.
What?
You said Magnificent Seven.
Oh, yeah, Magnificent Seven. I had this argument on a Western show. You know, when people stop talking about Seven Samurai, I mean, really, it's like worse than talking about Star Wars. I mean, you know, the deal is, I fall asleep every time I watch that movie. Yes, I do. Because it's subtitled.
Oh, no, he did not.
Yes, I did.
Oh, he did not.
All right, listen, I like subtitles. But no, listen, man. Magnificent Seven is a beautifully written film. I'm not going to go into it again. It's beautifully written. It is taking a film, but it's not a remake. Don't call it a remake. Call it a reworking.
A reworking, yeah.
You know,
I still have issues with
John Sturges.
That sequence with where Charles Bronson is berating the children and the boy, and he actually spanks the boy because he calls his father. He says, "My father's a coward."
Yeah.
You're not a coward. Your father is not a coward. And he grabs him and he beats. He actually, well, don't condone beating children, but the point is, it's like
he drills it into that kid. You got to respect your father for keeping you alive.
And when Charles bites the bullet literally, it's like, to me, of all the deaths, because not everyone makes it, that's the one that hits the hardest for me. Apart from James Coburn, because he's
when they put flowers on his grave.
Apart from James Coburn, because he's just uber cool, and I don't care what anyone says. I'm sorry, Steve McQueen, but James Coburn was almost as cool as Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah.
Not that anybody's as cool as Lee Van Cleef. Let's make it absolutely perfectly.
No. But I mean, like. Excellent movie, that. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, the lines are all iconic in that movie. But as far as my second, you know, classic would be Double Indemnity. First of all, Barbara Stanwyck is a goddess. She's a goddess. You know, and everything she did was amazing. You know, I mean, sorry, wrong number. I mean, you know, all the way up to Big Valley.
Are you not saying that when I was like, in my late teens in the 80s, when I saw her in the Thornbirds, are you not saying?
I don't know, because I mean, she still was hot when she did Big Valley, and that was in color. But I mean, in the Thornbirds, maybe she was getting a bit on.
A little bit. We're slipping into Noel Nelly, sort of.
But Double Indemnity, I mean, Raymond Chandler, wasn't it? And Billy Wilder directed, and Fred McMurray. In the dialogue, again, I'm a writer. So the dialogue was just like pure in that film, and I mean it was just great. It was just classic, and it was chilling. When he killed the husband in the back seat, you know, without you having to seen it, you felt it, you know, because they cut to Barbara Stanwyck, you know, and it was just kind of like, you know, you could just feel every last gasp of breath.
And it's also very matter of fact. I think if you are going to show violence in a realistic setting, then you got to show it for what it is. That's actually a very good example, along with, say, the murdering of Carlo in Godfather by choking him from behind, and it's just like the camera doesn't shoot in, it's just there, and you're a witness to this. That's what you are. You're not a viewer, you're a witness. And I think that's brilliant cinema, absolutely brilliant cinema, and it should make you feel horrible.
It's also, I think, it's also one of the secrets. Really, it's kind of like how to do death scenes well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, because cutting to the eyes, you know, when a person realizes this is it, you know, it's chilling for people who are watching, because then it's kind of like, oh my God, I never want to be in that moment where this is it. You know what I mean? And you cut to it, and then you see it. I mean, I saw this, I think it was a TV movie or something. It was some movie in the 70s, 80s called Into Thin Air, where it was about a kid who, you know, was hitchhiking, you know, to school and disappeared. And it's about his parents trying to find him and everything else like that. But he was kidnapped on the road, you know, and it's kind of like one of those kind of cautionary tales from hitchhike. But, you know, they actually, you know, like cut to him tied up in the back of the van at one point. And obviously, you know, the parents never could find this out. So it was really at the filmmaker's discretion to do this, you know, probably as a, you know, caution for the audience. But, you know, the guys are driving, and then they realize that, you know, what do you want to do with him? Oh, just you know, just get rid of him. The guy has no chance of pleading. It's not about ransom. You know, it's just kind of like, you know, they stop the van, drag him into the woods,
just downplay,
pull him over to like a cliff, you know, and everything, because he got the gag on, so they don't even want to hear him plead, you know, and you can see in his eyes that this is it. Pull out the knife and they stab him in the chest, the shoulder stab him in the chest, and then they just throw the body off the floor. But the idea was, in the end, the parents never found him.
Yeah. Because that's what happened.
I get chills just telling that.
Yeah, that's a cold story, folks.
And I mean, you know, but that's hard. That's real hard. So ending it with my like third and final, you know, classic. I said, It's a Wonderful Life, Double Indemnity, and now I guess I just have to pick one.
Okay, folks. Will it be? My money's on Son of Paleface, but go.
I don't think so. I will pick High Noon.
Oh.
And I'm picking High Noon maybe because I was just talking about it on our Western show. But like if I had to just pick something off the top of my head that Slash, because we talked about that one. Now it's come to me for real.
For real, folks.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Kevin McCarthy, Don Siegel made the film. The original, the classic, the best. All about the communism Red Scare. All about who can you trust. Excellent freaking movie. It was so cold in its filmmaking because it felt very documentary style before they were doing documentaries.
Exactly. I mean, Don Siegel, who was unfairly, but some people unfairly call him the greatest B-movie maker of all time. I actually disagree with that entirely. I actually think he's one of the greatest American filmmakers of all time.
Really?
Okay. I think to pigeonhole him as a B-movie, you know, because particularly his earlier films, Riot and Cell Block 11 and whatever, and of course in Body Snatchers, which are just great movies.
What about the later films of Clint Eastwood?
Oh well. We'll get to Clint momentarily, but getting back to Body Snatchers, you can take from that what you want. Now, you've already mentioned about the notion of the communist thread, but I've had debates with people whether people have seen the opposite side of that, as seen that as a submission to American conformity as well, and you can look at that and think, okay, and you know, is it? Oh, we must bow down to McCarthyism, etc. Just do as we're told.
People once bowed out of McCarthyism because they were afraid about
exactly. We're free to do as they tell us.
Remember, you got to remember, like we had the Black Hollywood blacklist going on at that time and everything, and that's really crazy that I didn't put my phone on silent. Okay. That we had a
that was Spielberg, by the way.
And you know what? It happens all the time in every show. but you know that we had the blacklist going on.
Oh yeah.
So just like when I mentioned High Noon, like one of the Dog Trumbull, people had to change their names. So what it is when we say the communism Red Scare, it is still about conformity. It's like you got to be one way or the other way.
Exactly.
And if we don't like what you think or believe, you know, boom, we're gonna blacklist.
I'm gonna take Body Snatchers and do a tenuous link back to talking about the remakes part, because that's a story that's been told many times now. Many times.
Too many times
now. Phil Kaufman, when he did his '78 take on the film, which is an absolute great movie, okay, I actually see that as a sequel.
It is a sequel. Know why?
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy. That's why I was going to give you a geek town. Kevin McCarthy.
He's in there. He pops up that.
He pops up saying, "They're here already!"
And as quick as he comes in, he's out of there as well.
That's all he needed to do, and just show he was still on the run.
And once again, it looks at those issues. It looks at conformity in various ways. It looks at actually very similar in the sense to Dawn of the Dead, in the sense that we are passive as society.
Dawn of the Dead is a sequel too in that way.
Well, yeah, it's just an extension. I mean, the initial four movies that Romero did with the Dead series, where it's kind of like, although they're not direct sequels, they're kind of like, well, this is a few years on, but somewhere else. This is a few years on, but somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Yeah, but it's a trilogy originally. Yeah, and Diary of the Dead is not really.
But then Land comes along, and Land's kind of like a.
So you said Land, so there's 5, because there's Diary of the Dead.
Well, there's 6 as well, Survival, which is
us.
Which is actually technically a sequel to Diary. I mean, I know. But getting back to the idea of actually taking, well, you already sadly mentioned that with the Warriors. Let's take the established thing and then see, well, where else can we take this?
Yes, that's right. And both those films did that. Dawn did it, and Invasion.
I see them. I do see them all interconnected, but only in the sense that of the tone, of the time and space of what's happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, logically, if there's dead people walking around, if they've been walking around for some time, they're going to start rotting and they're becoming actually less of a threat. okay, because physically they can't move as much. So then society does slowly start to build it up again, but then that's when you end up with Land of the Dead, and in a sense that we start to ignore it, you know. And I know there have been people that have been saying that there are parallels with looking at things such as the homeless issues or the plight, the underclass or whatever. We just, no.
They do that with Juan. They do that with Juan of the Dead. Have you not heard of
I know.
Juan of the Dead came out, and they said it was like a corollary with the homeless scenario.
But exactly, you know, and it's that kind of ignoring it as well. We step over these people every day.
Yes.
Well, why do we do that? You know, why? Because we've got our headphones on. Why? Because we've got access to Blu-rays. Wow,
I really need to know what's going on Twitter, mate. Sorry,
indeed. Well, before we, you know, there is a meeting down at the docks next week. Moving on. But,
yeah, right. Okay, so anyway, what we like to do is like to thank our man Merv here for coming in as we were talking about classics, and as we usually do, we go around the houses, but we actually just love talking about film. And you know, you can't have just one subject. You just got to be able to kind of like, you know, dance and bounce around. But I mean, hopefully, you know, like Merv will come back and join us.
Oh, definitely. If I'm allowed.
If he's allowed, I know.
I'll be camping outside.
Probably.
This will be gone, folks.
We hope. Hey! Thanks for joining us on the Geekgasm Hammer. And I mean, what we generally do is we just leave the building. Just like walk out.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was excellent.